U.S. immigration attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions, and I have a good topic for you today. So, one reason a VAWA application may be denied. Now, you will hear I, as well as other attorneys, talk about the requirements of VAWA, and it definitely does require evidence. However, the evidence that's required is called any credible evidence. That means any believable evidence. So it doesn't mean that you have to show that the abuse has happened without a doubt. You're not held to such a high standard that you have to show pictures of the actual abuse. You have to show, a police report. However, in reviewing the evidence, the officer has to see that this is believable evidence, that it makes it likely that this has occurred, that this is something that has happened. Now, in order to determine whether it's credible evidence, this is where the officer is going to look at the details in your application. So they're going to look at your statement. That is a very, very big piece of evidence when it comes on to these to the VAWA application, because your statement is going to express exactly what you went through in regards to the mistreatment or the extreme cruelty. And they're going to look at other things too. They're maybe look at text messages to see what's stated in the text messages. They're going to look at your other witness statements. And then they're going to also look at your application to make sure that the information in the application is consistent with the credible evidence that you've provided. So one of the reasons that a VAWA application may be denied is, believe it or not, your statement. Because your statement, especially when you are trying to do it yourself, your statement may not meet the credible evidence standard, because you may not put in your statement the details that are required for the officer to determine that it is credible, that what happened to you is real. And so, for example, not all of us are gifted um, with presenting, expressing ourselves in writing, right? It does take a special skill, and that's why, for example, I'm an attorney, because as an attorney, I have to be a good writer. I have to be able to express, advocate for my clients on paper as an attorney. And so, and a part of advocating is also putting the details necessary for a court, for an officer to be able to decide whether the client is eligible for the relief or the benefit that they're applying for. But not, a lay person, when I say lay person, someone who's not an attorney, may not understand the intricacies and the skill required to be able to present material in writing to an officer to allow the officer to make the right decision for them. Now, this is not to say that I go ahead and I write the statements for my clients. Absolutely not. But what I do is I work with my clients to listen to what happened to them, and then I help them to be able to craft their declarations, their statements, and the evidence necessary to show that they are eligible for relief under VAWA. And this not only goes for VAWA, but this goes for any petition or application that we're applying for, but especially for VAWA, because your statement is going to be key. So, writing a paragraph about what you went through, it's likely not going to be sufficient to be approved, to get an approval here. And so, if you write a general statement saying, I was abused by my spouse or my parent or my adult child, and you, in general, you say, they always did this to me, they always did that to me, with no dates, no details, no worst evidence, or no description of the worst incident that has occurred. And then in your statement, you also, if you don't also address other requirements, did you live with them? Did you live with them at some point? Do you have good moral character? Did you enter the marriage in good faith? Did you live with your spouse at any point in your relationship? Those also are is going to count, not only the mistreatment or abuse. That's the number one requirement here, but there are other requirements as well to determine whether you're eligible for VAWA relief. Now, just to bring those up to speed who may not know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about VAWA relief. VAWA is the Violence Against Women's Act, and it is, even though it says Violence Against Women's Act, it's for everyone. It's for men, it's for women, it's for individuals who are in certain qualifying relationships. Those qualifying relationships include the spousal relationship, the parent-child relationship, and then the adult child, so adult son or daughter, citizen adult son or daughter, and parent. If the U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse, or parent, if you're under 21, under 25 in some cases, or the citizen adult child who's 21 and up is mistreating the parent, then the immigrant is able to apply for relief under VAWA. Immigration relief includes protection from deportation, their work permit, and then in addition to that, the ability to continue to apply for permanent residence. And you get to stay in the United States while you're applying for all of that. Now, this relief is available, yes, even if you've crossed the border without permission in some cases, and yes, even if you've overstayed your visa. It is specifically there for people who need protection, who are not getting the help from their relative, or they're being mistreated by their relative. And when I say not getting the help, I mean not getting the help as in they may be using your immigration status against you. That's why you're not getting the help from your relative to be able to move forward. The entire process from beginning to green card takes about 2.5 years. But while you're waiting, within months, you could have your work permit and your travel document and your social security number. That social security number is required to get a job, to be able to file your taxes, and to do other types of business in the US. So it is very valuable. Those are just some of the benefits that you get, with the reassurance that you will get protection from deportation. So that in a nutshell is what VAWA is, and this is what I help my clients to achieve while they're here in the US, no matter their immigration status. Now, go back to one reason why your VAWA application may be denied. And I mentioned the declaration, because no matter how much evidence you're going to include, you should always have that declaration. That's your statement. And the declaration needs to be sufficiently detailed to provide the officer with the information they need to make a decision about your eligibility. And not everyone understands how they're supposed to present this in a way that's going to put them at an advantage in the process. And that's one of the reasons why they face denials, is that they don't have the skill set to be able to present it properly, and then they end up going down the wrong path in their green card process. So do it right. Make sure you hire an attorney to present this to you. First, make sure you're eligible, present it on your behalf, and move forward. You can go to the link in the profile. The number is going across the screen on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And if you go to the description of the video, you'll see the link to schedule your own appointment there. So get in touch with me. We can talk about your situation and get started right away. Now I want to take questions. That's also why I'm here. I love to get your questions, and your questions don't have to be related to the topic that I came to talk about. It can be anything that's immigration related. So go ahead, start putting those questions in the comments, and just go through and start to address those questions. All right, so I'm seeing questions coming through on YouTube and on Instagram. So I'm going to go through those questions. How long does it take to get working permit after the biometrics? It depends on how long it's taking. It depends on what type of application you're applying for. For family based, I'm seeing anywhere from 3 to 6 months. For VAWA, I'm seeing anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Oh, thank you, Jade. Jade is nice. Thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it. Can I file for my 19-year-old with a green card? Absolutely. And now is a good time to do that. Because as long as your son is under 21, they have higher priority right now, and there's no wait list for children of green card holders. Children of green card holders are under 21 and unmarried. For VAWA, the time to get the work permit, I'm seeing anywhere from 6 months to 12 months to get the work permit. All right, scrolling through. Bear with me as I scroll through to those questions. For my husband, had to make a report to the precinct accompanied by a bail bond person. He was never charged. A court date was never issued. Can this hinder when filing for my green card? So I don't know if who was the victim in this case. Who was the person who made the report? So your husband made the report to the precinct, accompanied by a bail bond person who was never charged. A court date was never issued. So let schedule an appointment. Let's talk. It depends. It's gonna depend on so many facts here. Now, if your spouse is, let's see, if your spouse is the victim here, because your spouse had to make a report. So it sounds like your spouse may have been the victim. If your spouse was the victim, then it means that there's nothing that they were charged with. And if they were never charged, never arrested, never had a court date, it's very unlikely that it's going to result in some sort of inadmissibility, finding of inadmissibility for and then you said for my green card. So I would really need to delve into the details here to find out what happened. Okay, so I see more here. He had a dispute with a patron in a restaurant and was told to make a report. That's it. He is never charged. He did not assault the person physically, but he reached for his firearm because he felt threatened. So, in a case like this where it was a dispute, but there was no report, no arrest, it should not affect your case in any way. However, keep in mind, I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving you personalized legal advice, but generally speaking, your spouse, who I'm assuming is a permanent resident or the citizen, was never involved in hurting anyone. And it should not, as a citizen, that what happened with him shouldn't affect your marriage-based, I'm thinking marriage-based green card process. If you're out of status but is an adult and married, the only way of being legally. So if you are out of status, you're a married adult, then you have to, you may have other options, but Getting it through a parent while you're staying in the US is going to be very difficult. Keep in mind too that if you're already married and you're getting it through a parent, that's 12 years of a wait period. So if you really want to get an idea of your options, this is where the consultation is going to be crucial. Because if you're out of status and married, then we'd have to look at other options that may be available other than if the spouse. If the spouse is a citizen, great, then the spouse can sponsor you. If the spouse is a permanent resident, there is a way, maybe not to stay here all through the entire process, but there may be a way. If the spouse is not a citizen, then we have to look at other options here. Can someone currently in a very abusive marriage with a U.S. citizen still go ahead and file for VAWA after his 4 years earlier asylum petition by his request was canceled by the immigration court? Now, yes, the general answer here is yes, it is possible. Now, the reason that the immigration canceled the petition is another question that I would have. I know that some courts are terminating proceedings right now based on new policies that have been implemented. But is it that the court found that the asylum petition was it was not genuine? Was it one that they felt wasn't rightfully filed by to the immigration court? So I'd have follow-up questions there just to make sure there may be no implications on the VAWA petition going forward. But yes, generally speaking, if your proceedings were terminated, you could then apply for VAWA, and you could apply for VAWA even during your proceedings and get it terminated based on the VAWA, based on your VAWA. Good afternoon. My wife is a green card holder. We submit more than 1 years. What is going on with I-130? So the I-130 is taking about a year to be approved. And then it's taking another year, 18 months to get an interview if your spouse is outside of the US. So it is backed up right now. If your spouse is in the US, it is a faster process, but it depends on how you filed your papers. How long does it take to get the green card if you marry a green card holder? So if you're outside of the US, 18 to 24 months. If you rightfully applied for permanent residence in the US through adjustment of status, then you could be looking at a matter of months to up to a year. I want my friend here with me to hear more about VAWA, second, prima facie, and what it means. Well, yes, definitely. Now, what you can do is you can tell your friend about my lives. I do have past lives. If you scroll through the past lives, I think a few lives ago I did a live about the prima facie. So you can always scroll back. And I believe too, I have a video that's coming out on YouTube that will go into more detail about the prima facie determination letter. So follow me. Look out for that video and go to, now if you want to see my longer videos on YouTube, so I do long lives here, but I will be releasing that video on the prima facie determination letter on YouTube. So sometimes I'll have different content on YouTube than on Instagram. So go to, the channel is Getting the Green Card on YouTube. Getting the Green Card is easy. So look for that, Getting the Green Card, look for my channel there, and then subscribe and you'll see, and if you scroll through, you'll see past videos about the prima facie as well. So thanks for the love, I appreciate it. What if someone was married before and got their green card from previous marriage? Can he petition for his new spouse? Great question, and this is a tricky one. No, the green card holder should not be petitioning for anyone until 5 years after they got their green card through that previous marriage. Otherwise, the USCIS is going to likely, it's very, very likely they're going to deny any following applications that have been filed any sooner than the 5 years. The reason being, so there's a presumption that if this person got the green card through a previous marriage and then just went ahead and divorced quickly and then got married to someone else and filed for them, that was the whole reason for that, for getting married and divorced and then going with another marriage, another individual who and file for them. So it can open up a can of worms, and it can even open up an investigation into the previous marriage. In order to succeed in a following petition that's less than 5 years after the getting the green card through a previous marriage, is you have to show by clear and convincing evidence that not only the marriage to the immigrant is real, but also the previous marriage to the U.S. citizen, it was real. Do you get a work permit if you're in the U.S. while you wait for a green card filed for your permanent resident spouse? Yes. If you file for you don't automatically get the work permit. You do have to take the steps to apply for it. You're welcome, Sam, on YouTube. Great questions. Keep those questions going. I was asking if getting married is the only way to be legal. No. And I work with clients to apply through alternative methods. And that's one of the joys of my practice, is that my practice allows people to have choices and to avoid problems of trying to set up fake marriages and getting into trouble that way, because there are options. Now, the last I checked, there are over 21 and even more than 21, but over 21 ways to get permanent residence in the United States. And so what you should be doing is making sure that you evaluate your options. You can always schedule a consultation and we can talk. Thanks so much, Sam. I appreciate that. And I'm so happy that my videos have offered you some value. That's the point of my these lives and the videos that I do. If someone received a green card through marriage, can they petition for their new spouse without issue? So I just answered that one. Make sure you get your legal advice and representation. That's a tricky one. If it's less than 5 years after getting the green card from the previous marriage, then you're gonna have problems for sure. If my partner had a green card and we marry in the US, how long will it take for me to get my work permit, travel document, green card? Within a few months, so 3 to 6 months. And you want to make sure that you do everything right. While you can petition through a green card holder spouse, you just have to make sure that when you do that, you meet all the requirements, because there are special requirements for spouses of permanent residents. How long does it take to get the receipt notice for VAWA? So right now I'm seeing they're backed up. So I'm seeing anywhere from a month to even up to 3 months to get that receipt notice. When it's taking very, very long for our clients to get their receipt notice, we do get in touch with the VAWA unit, because attorneys do have the ability to contact them via email to see if they received it. And we also, what we do is we have a proof of delivery system. So we make sure that it was delivered. And if it was delivered and signed off by an officer, we contact them and just find out what's going on with that receipt notice. How much do you charge for representation? It's going to depend on what the cases involve. And that's why I don't give quotes on live, because people's situations are different. What I can tell you though is my consultation is $150 for up to an hour, and we go through the details. And then once I determine I can take your case, I'll go ahead and provide you the quote. And thank you so much for that on the makeup. I appreciate that because I do put effort. All right, so that's gonna be it for me today. I have an appointment in a quick minute. So go ahead, follow me on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. Like, subscribe, follow, and hit on the bell on YouTube so that you can get notifications when I go live. On Instagram, go ahead, follow me so that you can continue to get notifications of when I'm live so that you can ask your questions. You can ask anything that's immigration related. So don't hesitate to put those questions in the comments. I will answer, and I always bring a topic for you that I think is helpful for you to know as well. So you're welcome, Sam. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for your time, everyone. I will be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye bye.